Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag, and it is wonderful to have you along for the ride, especially on the heels of the Eagles won a football game, the 76ers won a basketball game, back half tonight, and the Flyers won 2-0 over the Boston Bruins. How about that, baby? Sink your teeth into it. 3 for 3. Oh, and if you want to throw in 4 for 4, the 76ers got fined for, you can't call it lying, misleading comments. That's the way Sham Charania put it, of ESPN, that the 76ers have been fined $100,000 for misleading comments on the status of Joel Embiid. I consider that 2 wins, one for the Sixers this week, and the second for the 76ers fans, who at least get to see their team fine. Now, why do I give a damn about that? Because it acknowledges the fact that they were dishonest and that they handled this in the most inappropriate way. Yeah, come on out to the home opener. Yeah, sure, he's going to be out. No, he's not out there. Oh, you know what? He could be playing this Wednesday, where he's not going to be playing this week. But after this week. Oh, he's not playing this week? He's not playing Wednesday now? He's not playing at home against the Detroit Pistons in the Tobias Harris return game? He's not playing in that one, is he? Also, we had some good news from Ramona Shelbourne 2 days ago that Paul George was going to be playing in this game tonight, and now Paul George is not playing in this game tonight. And look, you might be fed up with the Joel Embiid situation. I know I'm fed up with the Joel Embiid situation. We might be fed up to different points. Like, I'm fed up to the point of I'm pissed that this has to happen, that they have to rest him as much as possible before getting into the postseason. I hate the fact that we have to be in this spot. There's no other way to do it. And we've gone over it a million times. I'm not going to regurgitate all the stuff I've already talked about with it, but it sucks. I acknowledge it sucks. I wish this wasn't the way it was, but yet here we are. I don't want the fans to be lied to. I don't want the fans to be misled in any way. The thing I always go back, and this is why I have such a soft spot for the 76ers fan base above any other fan base, because you guys not only stomached the process, you guys grew. And like a whole other faction of 76ers fans shot up simply because they believed in hitting the reset button on this franchise. Maybe not, an infinite amount of losing seasons. And eventually the NBA stepped in and said, yeah, you can't have just that, you can't have a blank check of time. Okay, you can't be limitless in terms of time, in terms of building a winner, for building a winner. But you guys stuck with it. You 76ers fans stuck with it. You guys grew. And now you guys still got to take it on the chin for this franchise, despite all the disappointment during the Joel Embiid process and post-process era. Yeah, I got a soft spot for you. So anytime you guys get taken advantage of, I certainly take that to heart more than any other team in this city. And that ain't right. And I know 100 grand might not be a lot to Joshua Harris or the 76ers as a franchise, but at least it's been acknowledged. It's a small victory that you guys are getting jerked around by this franchise. Now, here's what I don't understand. Here's where I really just, like, what? I don't understand. So, I've talked about this thing with Joel Embiid of, like, hold on a second. He played in the Olympics. He was healthy in the offseason. He's lost weight. He looks great. He should be ready to go for the opener. He's not playing in the opener. What the hell happened? He's ramping up to playing? So the 76ers say he could be ready in the first week of the season. Or excuse me, won't be ready the first week of the season. We'll miss the first 3 games, but maybe the 4th game he'll play in. Okay. NBA investigates. NBA fines the Sixers for the misleading comments, but finds no wrongdoing in terms of their investigation for the 76ers and how they're handling Joel Embiid. They didn't do anything wrong there. Like, here's how it was broken down yesterday. Okay, so Joel Embiid this gets reported on by Sham Charania. NBA has fined the 76ers $100,000 for public statements around health status of the NBA center, all NBA center, sources tell ESPN. Following that statement, Shams put this one out there. Sources said the NBA's investigation showed that the Sixers did not violate player participation policy with Embiid's missed games, but in fact, with the public comments that did not properly reflect his health issues with his knee. So you did something wrong or you didn't. So he didn't violate the participation policy. He didn't play. He played in the Olympics. There was no note about whether or not Joel Embiid was going to be missing the first game of the season until the week of the first game of the season. I feel like I am on crazy pills right now. And Nick Nurse, God bless him. Nick Nurse seems like he's fed up with the situation as well. Here he is yesterday. Kyle Neubeck tweeted out this.
Joel and Paul, in terms of their participation in practice today, were they able to do any live 5-on-5 or anything like that today?
You guys got the update? They were in parts of practice. On we go.
Sorry,
apologies, but go ahead.
Sorry, it sounded like you guys went pretty hard for a good chunk of time today during practice. What was the focus, or what were we trying to hone in on?
Just trying to establish and maintain some type of identity and toughness of who we want to be and who we are and how we want to play, which finally showed up there 3 games in. Just staying on that track.
With Joel's plan,
I'm not going to answer. Go ahead. Anybody else got anything?
What was different?
They've given you the updates on that, right? They're giving you the updates on Joel.
Okay. Small victories, right? Sixers get fined $100,000 for misleading comments. Again, I'm going to use the word sham used. Okay, shams. All right. And Nick Nurse is fed up. I'm not going to take that in. It's the first question. You got the update? You guys got the update? You got the update? Okay, cool. Taryn Nicole Hatcher. Taryn. Okay. All right. Yep. Nope. Yep. They went at it hard. In practice. Dave Uram with the question. So about Joel Embiid. Dip. Bip. Beat. Shave out. He feels how I feel. He feels how we all feel. This is Bush. This sucks. Whatever the Sixers were trying to do in the offseason, whatever Joel Embiid was trying to do in the offseason, other than he played in that summer league. What was that summer? It wasn't the Vegas summer league. It wasn't the Utah summer. What was it? Orlando. Oh, it wasn't the Orlando summer league. Oh, it was the Olympics. He played in France. Played in the Olympics. That's summer league. He played, won a gold medal, not ready to play in front of the 76ers fan base. And you know what? I remember trying to find some positive in him playing in the Olympics. And I'm like, you know what? At least I know he's playing basketball. At least I know he's going to be in shape for the start of the new season because he's playing. Like, there's no excuse you could build in to Joel Embiid playing, in the Olympics. Oh, he's not ready to play. He played in the Olympics. So what are we doing here? Did he suffer a setback? Oh, there was no setback. Oh, okay. So after the Olympics, no setback. Okay, cool. So he's gonna be ready to go? No. What? This is such Bush. This is the world we live in. I hate this, the sports world we live in now. Can we just acknowledge this? Like, I know and I hate generational arguments, but in all seriousness, this sucks. The whole idea of workload, you talk about a lot with pitchers in baseball. You talk about it in baseball in general. The Cal Ripken streak will never, ever be broken. Like, that's probably the safest streak. I even put it above the 56-game hitting streak for Joe DiMaggio in terms of never be broken. Because players just aren't around enough to play that many games anymore. And players aren't good hitters enough anymore to hit for 56 straight games either. But back to the workload argument. Like, these players are all about rest. And I don't feel like my body's ready to go. You don't feel like your body's ready to go. You're a professional athlete. Here's one thing. I know my body's not ready to go. I am far from a professional athlete. But the era that a lot of us grew up in, it was like every single day. I mean, we grew up, keep it in the Sixers family, this is the Allen Iverson era. Like, he wouldn't practice, obviously. But, man, every single game out there doing everything you can possibly do to win a game. You had to lock the arena and put barbed wire around it and around the court to keep him off it. And even then he'd probably find a way to get on it, Allen Iverson. Like, guys taking pride in playing their sport every day, trying to take advantage of every opportunity they had to go out there and dominate their opponent. Those days are done. a starting pitcher taking a ball in baseball and trying to go 9 innings. That was his game. He wasn't going to lose that game. I don't know why it's come around recently, but Mike Mussina yelling at Joe Torre, not that I'm a Yankees fan at all. And after last night, Yankee fans ain't looking so good right now. But no, they won. But I'm talking about what happened in the stands. We'll get to that. But like, you stay there, Joe. Mike Mussina yelling at Joe Torre to stay in the dugout because he was going to finish his start. Like, that's just, we don't see it anymore. And whether it's baseball, whether it's basketball, Christ almighty, Anthony Richards yesterday, he can't play. And then the Colts made the decision to go with Joe Flacco, someone more of our generation, by far. What the hell is like? I understand that the only thing that truly matters is what happens in the playoffs. But the ride is supposed to be a lot more fun than this. And the pride the players took in the ride was a lot more pride than this. And that ain't it anymore. And there's really no argument about what was a more fun generation to watch. Guys that wanted to go out there every single day, play their ass off for themselves, for their own personal pride, for their teammates, for their city. And that just is not a thing anymore, especially not here in Philadelphia when we're talking about the 76ers and the way they run things. This sucks. As I've said many times before, it sucks that this is where the Sixers feel like they have to be at because of their star. And you got Tyrese Maxey going out there acting like a fourth quarter against the Indiana Pacers is a fourth quarter of a Game 7 in an Eastern Conference Finals. And meanwhile, Joel Embiid's like, well, I'm ramping up. Oh, really? Okay. Paul George, at least I saw you get hurt. And that awkward as hell play in the preseason. But I really feel 76ers fans in all this. So here we are. Before I get into any Eagles conversation I do have, the Yankees did win last night. And I hate this argument of if it happened in Philly, but holy hell, if it happened in Philly. Here's the unfortunate thing. Through social media, if there's anything I'm grateful for with social media, especially in the sports world pertaining to fan bases, social media has really helped show that every fan base has its own little group of buttholes. Okay? That's the way I'll say it. Buttholes. And 2 buttholes last night at the Yankee-Dodgers game of the World Series, by the way. Game 4 of the World Series were buttholes yesterday. If you didn't see it, which is, if you're a sports fan and you didn't find it scrolling at any point last night, I don't know what to tell you if you weren't watching the game. But Gleyber Torres steps up to the plate for the Dodgers in the bottom of the first inning, hits a foul ball down the right field line. Mookie Betts tracking the ball, gets into the corner, reaches up, makes the catch, and one Yankees fan grabs Mookie Betts' glove and bends it back over the wall. Now Mookie Betts reaches with his other hand to try to get his glove. He makes the catch, tries to get his glove free of the fan. Another Yankee fan comes in right next to the previous butthole, grabs his free hand, now his non-glove hand, his throwing hand, and pries it away so he can't free his glove from the other fan in the stands down the right field line. Mookie Betts finally gets they jar the ball loose, but already the out was recorded, so whatever. And Mookie Betts comes back in to the playing area and starts losing his mind at what the fans did. The 2 Yankees fans end up getting escorted out of Yankee Stadium, rightfully so, and hopefully a lifetime ban. And it did go through my head. 2 things, the what ifs. Well, first of all, let's talk about what is. That is such a scumbag move. Absolute scumbag move. And I saw it on national TV this morning, so it's been covered, and those Yankee fans have been, shot down and all that stuff. But 2 things on the what ifs. One, most importantly, what if Mookie Betts got hurt on that play? And it could have absolutely happened. When I saw his wrist bending back as I was watching it live, I went, oh God. They went to the replay. I went, oh my God. At first, I was like, they're holding him in the stands over the wall. and need to leap a little bit for that catch. He comes down, breaks his wrist, he's out. That affects next year. Such a scumbag move. And then the other thing that popped in my head, of course, is what happened in Philadelphia. Would it be every meme everywhere? Would it be every GIF everywhere? Would it be on every reel everywhere? Oh, scumbag Philadelphia fans at it again. Yeah, no, it's pretty much every fan base has their bad people, just like every city has their bad people, just like every group has bad people. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Even it's a lot of money for those seats, man. It's a lot of money for those seats, and they act like that. That is damn ridiculous. Absolutely insane. And yeah, I saw it was Kevin and Gandhi as well of ESPN that put it out there, Temple grad. Just saying, yeah, if it happened in Philadelphia, people would have been losing their minds, and they're absolutely right. Any opportunity to jump on the Philadelphia fan, and certainly. But this didn't happen in Philly. It happened in New York. I saw it getting international coverage, and it's the World Series. Like, I wonder, as he continued to unravel this, like, I wonder if Mookie Betts was hurt. Like, does he have a lawsuit on his hands? Like, could he, like, slap those two dudes with a lawsuit? Interesting. It's very interesting the way that played out last night. Yankees did win. Got a grand slam from Volpe. Yeah, the Yankees won, so it's 3-1 series. 11-4, was that the final last night, I think? I believe that was the final last night. Or was it 11? Yeah, 11-4. 11-4 was fine. So yeah, that was pretty bonkers. All right, let's get to your Philadelphia Eagles. We have seen a lot of under center. We have seen a fullback. This is just with the offensive side of things. We've seen a lot of adjustments made by the Eagles. One of the things that Jalen Hurts got into, and I played it for you yesterday talking about Kellen Moore, what Kellen Moore brings to the table. Well, yesterday, one of the big subject matters was Jalen Hurts pushing for the Eagles to do more offensively. And one of the phrases that got brought up, and it was Jeff McClain at Inquirer.com, that brought up imposing their will. Talked about under center and the Eagles just throwing whatever it is they do best in the face of their opponents and hoping that works out for the best through the first quarter of games. Here's Kellen Moore yesterday talking about what this Eagles offense has done differently since the bye week, including more under center than ever.
I think it's just something we've certainly talked about as a collective group, and so there'll be different opportunities throughout games, and so it's come up the last few weeks, and obviously there's been some positives with it, and so we'll just see where it takes us.
The city's also pushed just for more of the offense coming out and imposing its will on a defense rather than, having everything predicated upon what the defense is doing. What have those conversations been like with him?
It's a balancing act, I think, each and every week of, you have a lot of respect for your opponent and all the things that they can do, and you got to account for all the possibilities and prepare the right way while also still, doing what you do and what you've invested a lot of time in. And so you're balancing in those two elements week in and week out. And so we're constantly in that tug of war. I think that's how most teams game plan. You have stuff you feel really comfortable with that you can, blindly walk out there and just run, while still understanding that they have a presentation that's going to challenge you in different ways, and you're trying to find what balance is best when you create a game plan.
One of my biggest arguments for a team that the Eagles have, I've used it in every single sport. If you're great at something, you keep doing it until the other team stops you. And even then, you do it a little bit more. Just on the account that them stopping you was a fluke, for instance. I am baffled. I absolutely baffled at the first quarter failures of the Philadelphia Eagles, offensively speaking. Baffled. I know AJ's missed time, but with AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, an offensive line that no matter who's starting, you're having success. And in the first quarter of games, you can't score points with this? Is this what we're doing? Seriously? I know I just threw it against the wall yesterday just to throw it out as a theory, a hypothesis, if you will. But it seems pretty damn different in the second, third, and fourth quarter. Pretty different. So is Nick Sirianni still doing the game plan and the first 15 plays, script and that, and then Kellen Moore takes over? That it could even be vice versa. Is Kellen Moore doing the first 15 and then Nick Sirianni does the majority of the game planning throughout? That I very much doubt, but I'm just throwing it out. Throwing it out there. And this Eagles team is totally different in the second, third, and fourth quarters of the games. How? Why? How? What? And in the first quarter with these weapons, they struggle. You can make the argument, certainly, that you had 4 minutes and 30 seconds of possession in the first quarter of the game against the Cincinnati Bengals. You can certainly make that argument, but the Eagles have scored in faster drives than that. They scored in faster drives than that in that particular game. The Devontae Smith 45-yard touchdown pass, that wasn't the 7-minute 47-second long drive. That was like 2 minutes. The Eagles rattled that off. They can score quickly. They can impose their will. So if the Eagles, back to this point, if they're under center and they're playing under center very well, if they're playing well with a fullback, if they're playing well by being able to put the football downfield in A.J. Brown, or in this case, Devontae Smith's hands, do it. And just keep doing it. What bothers me the most is when coaches try to outthink themselves. And they get into that whole downward spiral of they think that I'm thinking I'm going to do this, but if they're thinking that, then I got to think this, and then we'll do that. Like Saquon Barkley up the middle is 5 yards. That's certainly what it feels like. Saquon Barkley bouncing on the outside with blockers feels like 55 yards. Imposing your will, acknowledging that you are a great offense, and just about any defense in the league is going to have trouble stopping. I mean, you even throw your tight ends in there, whether it's Dallas Goedert healthy or Grant Calcaterra playing for you, you're getting big plays out of these guys. Your tight end position has been pretty solid. And even Jack Stahl holding his block on that Devontae Smith 45-yard touchdown pass, that was pretty damn good too. So you're getting production everywhere on this offense. Imposing your will should be what's practiced with this offense. It feels like it seems like the most obvious thing in the world. And one of the things I love is the idea of Jalen Hurts finally just going up to his offensive coordinator and his head coach and telling them what he expects from them. Especially a guy like Jalen, who's been through Shane Steichen with let's track it. Nick Sirianni, Shane Steichen, Brian Johnson, more of Nick Sirianni, and now he's dealing with Kellen Moore. At some point, you got to go in that office and be like, all right, look, there's been a lot of turnover in your position, Kellen. Here's what I'd love to do, and here's the mentality I'd love to have as an offense. Impose our will. Put me under center. Let's roll out some read options every once in a while. Let's use some play action. Let's get that ball over the middle. Everyone says I'm scared of doing it. I'm not scared to do it if it's there. And one of the ways it's there most consistently is if I take the football, put it in the belly of a very good running back, and then I pull it out, bang, right down the middle of the field to A.J. Brown for 6 yards, 15 yards, whatever it might be. It's there. I can take it. And then if another team, they're game planning to stop us, who are you going to stop? Because you're going to have to choose. You're going to load up and play Saquon and try to stop him. You're going to try to roll double coverage to A.J. Brown's side, and I got Devontae Smith. You're going to try to do reverse that? Okay, look who I got on a drag route. I got Grant Calcaterra. I got Dallas Goedert when healthy. I got other options out there. I love the idea of Jalen Hurts having these talks. And then as far as what he wants from Nick Sirianni, Nick, you beat you little fella, you with your buzzed head, you just be the cute little self that you are with your great message. Okay. You need a quarterback to have that kind of authority. And one of the things that really was knocked at the end of last year from Jalen Hurts was a quarterback that didn't have that authority. A quarterback that felt like he didn't have a voice. And oftentimes left it up to A.J. Brown or Jason Kelce or Fletcher Cox to address the locker room, and he only spoke minimally. Well, Jason Kelce ain't walking through that door. Fletcher Cox ain't walking through that door. And A.J. Brown, well, he went through 2 weeks last year of not even talking. And then finally, a 13-minute press conference in his locker room or media session, whatever you want to call it, where he held court. Jalen, I guess at that point and at the end of the season, finally realized, I guess I got to do a little bit more talking. And some of the players have already said, even at training camp, that Jalen Hurts was doing more talking. with the indecisiveness, like if we're having indecisiveness as a fan base trying to figure out where all the power is in terms of game day, calling plays, game planning, whose idea it was, and we can't even trust the head coach who said he called a defense, and Vic Fangio a couple days later, like, he didn't call defense. Like, Jalen Hurts having a louder voice and a lot more pull and sway with that voice this year. I like what I've been seeing lately. Have you needed the Seth Joyner called baby steps from this offense? Yes. But my guess is at the bye week, the team had a come to Jesus moment. The team had a come to Jesus moment. Finally. Kellen Moore, one more time.
I think it's just something we've certainly talked about as a collective group, and so there'll be different opportunities throughout games, and so it's come up the last few weeks, and obviously there's been some positives with it, and so we'll just see where it takes us.
It's all about being under center. It's all about using play action, and it's all about exploiting what the defense is giving you, and then you get into imposing their will. There's no question in my mind that the way the Eagles feel as if they're imposing their will has to do with their quarterback telling the coaches, this is what we do great, so let's not stray from it. If it's Saquon Barkley being the star of the show, so be it. If I only need to throw the football 14 to 20 times, so be it. I pointed out to you guys last week, after the Eagles had an opportunity to have the flower power game against the Lions. Remember when the Lions were terrible for, forever, and now they're not. Jalen Hurts only threw the football 14 times in that game, and they scored 44 points. They scored 37 points in this one, and he only threw the football 20 times. Yeah, I would say the Eagles have a way of imposing their will on teams, so they should maybe do that more often. And they're going to have another opportunity to do it Sunday at 4:05 against Jacksonville Jaguars when Doug Peterson comes to town. Now, something else that really stuck out to me from yesterday's press conference, and Vic Fangio's press conference was really quick yesterday in terms of his answers, so I'm not going to bother playing anything for you, but the tackle. So offensively speaking, we just covered what, since the bye week, they've really dedicated themselves to obviously not turning the football over and imposing their will and more under center. And Jalen looks a hell of a lot more comfortable over the last 3 games. What about the tackling? Tackling has been great for the most part for the Eagles. Have there been missed tackles? Sure, but not at the rate we saw before. Not at the 15 that we saw against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, for crying out loud. 2 things that stick out to me from that game I haven't really seen. Quarterback getting the ball out extremely quick like Baker Mayfield. Haven't seen that since. And then actually finishing plays. Taking good angles to footballs. Your defensive line winning battles. Taking up those double teams in the middle of the line, whether it's Jalen Carter or Jordan Davis. Getting some pressure. Not a lot in this last game, obviously. They only got 1 sack. But defensively overall, as we can acknowledge, has been a lot better. 24 straight quarters without allowing a touchdown going into that game against the Bengals. That's pretty damn good. And now you're watching this team play like they're figuring out Vic Fangio's scheme, understanding what that freedom is. And I am absolutely blown away by how Cooper DeJean, of all defensive players, has been playing. Cooper DeJean, people talk about the trade deadline. And yesterday, Vic Fangio was asked about it, and he just was like, yeah, if you get a guy this late in the season, he's probably not going to have that big an impact. Okay. But Cooper DeJean feels like an acquisition. Like, you went from Avonte Maddox, who was struggling, to Cooper DeJean, who looks like a stud. And I've talked a lot about that 4th down stop. That was absolutely incredible. And I went back and I watched some of the all-22 of it. And Cooper DeJean, I don't see the, excuse me, I didn't see the next-gen stats or anything. But you know how they'll track to see how much a player moved? Like in this play where he ran, whatever it was, like 10 yards to the outside, he really ran like 50 yards because of the amount of times he went back and forth, backstop, back the other direction, back, just the amount of ground covered. They'll track it, however many yards he did. I don't know how many yards he covered in that, but it sure as hell seemed like a lot. And they were trying to shake him. They were trying to shake him. They had Jamar Chase in motion, and Cooper DeJean was with him like he was in his head. And then finally, Jamar Chase breaks to his right to get that little baby swing pass for the first down on 4th and 1. And Cooper DeJean was in his hip pocket the entire time. Eyes in the backfield, body moving side to side. He's doing the cone drill, for crying out loud. And it worked. It worked phenomenally well. He got in the backfield and made that stop. And, I mean, Vic Fangio is not going to lavish praise on anybody, but he's going to acknowledge when a player played a play perfectly, and that's exactly what Cooper DeJean did on that particular play. And if you're talking about acquisitions of Myles Garrett, sure, come on down. You're talking about Max Crosby, sure, come on down. But as of right now, the Eagles' defense with the acquisition of Cooper DeJean, that is something special. Still waiting on more on Darius Slay. Haven't seen much there. Keely Ringo might get an opportunity. Isaiah Rodgers might get an opportunity. Vic Fangio talked about yesterday how the players will always let you know who's going to take over. He's like, I don't even have to make the decision who's going to take over. This was his philosophy back in training camp, and I agree with this is how it should be for everybody. He doesn't make the decision on who starts. The players make the decision on who starts. All he does is acknowledge who the starter is. The cream will rise to the top. He's talked about Keely Ringo playing well in his opportunities. He's talked about Isaiah Rodgers playing well in his opportunities. Isaiah Rodgers being Johnny on the spot to tip that interception into the hands of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson might have sealed his fate as the starter this coming weekend against the Jaguars. But here's one thing that is absolutely certain. This entire defense over the last 3 weeks, since that bye week, has been totally different. A big part of that has been Cooper DeJean in the slot. Another part of that is however the hell they were going to figure out tackling in the beginning of a season, in the first quarter of the season, they seem to certainly have figured that out. And when he was asked about it yesterday, Vic Fangio just said, well, yeah, the whole defense is playing well, and that makes tackling a hell of a lot easier on everybody else. Because if a running back runs through a huge hole, he's got all the room in the world to move, to maneuver, to cut. But if that is just a tiny hole he's cutting through, he's only got one direction to go. And that makes it a hell of a lot easier to tackle. The other thing that I absolutely loved, well, especially from this Bengals game, was how your linebackers were working together. Nakobe Dean and Zach Bond. And there's no better example of that than the fumble. When they forced that fumble, Nakobe Dean, first man in with the contact, wraps his legs around, I think it was Chase, and then Bond comes in, knocks the ball loose. Nakobe Dean right there on the ground trying to make the ankle tackle, the shoelace tackle, if you will, and he wraps his hands around the ball and he corrals it. The Eagles made him pay for it. Seeing this offense work as well as it has, albeit with the exception of the first quarter, and then seeing this defense work as well as it has, beyond my wildest dreams going into the bye week. You talk about imposing your will. Well, if that's offensively, well, then you go eat. If that's defensively, you go out there and you be aggressive. And if you're going to make mistakes, you make aggressive mistakes. You make a mistake by hitting somebody. And that's what you've seen from this football team. And I still just can't get over the idea of, in this draft, actually coming away with two defensive starters for you now, in both Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. Quinyon, speaking about lavishing praise, one of the things that we've talked about, has been talked about all season, really, is just Quinyon Mitchell and his high level of play. Vic Fangio just said since day one he was comfortable. There was never a moment where he felt like, this also goes along the lines of what Nick Sirianni said earlier in the week, there's never a moment where you see Quinyon Mitchell or Cooper DeJean they're too small for. They're never small in the moment. They're big in the moment. They rise to the occasion. And you have these guys for the foreseeable future. Imagine Howie Roseman signing not one, but two corners that he drafted. Good times. Let's live in that world for just a minute, because that seems like a fun world. An unfamiliar world to us, but a good world nonetheless. Hear from players in the locker room today. Hear from Nick Sirianni again today. Look forward to seeing what this Eagles team is going to do coming out Sunday, because I totally expect them to come out 7.5-point favorites to get their fourth win in a row. And then we'll be feeling pretty damn good going into that game against the Commanders. Man, this is such a wild season already. Oh, excuse me, against the Cowboys. They got the Cowboys, then they got the Commanders on that short week. That sucks. You got so you got the Jaguars, Cowboys on the road, 4:25. You get back home late Sunday night, early Monday morning, and then you got to play the Commanders, primetime Thursday night. That's a rough stretch right there. That's a rough stretch. Wouldn't be shocked if the Eagles went 1-1 in those two games. That sucks. Come out of that Jags game healthy. Let's have this as the goal. For this game against the Jaguars, no, this is really going to get cocky, okay? Not ready to sound like a total homer? Let's come out of that Jags game where the starters don't have to play again in the fourth quarter. The starters have their pads off in the fourth quarter even. Let's hope for that. And then the Jags will probably take Doug Peterson out by the Doug Peterson Nick Foles statue and then fire him. Nick Foles, you want to get fired? Yeah, let's do it. All right, anyway. Yeah. I already mentioned the Flyers won, so that's fun. Flyers, man. They're back at it tomorrow against the Blues in South Philly. Forrester got on the board finally last night. Yeah, Tyson Forrester scored their first one. Samuel Urson made 23 saves. Urson in the club making 23 saves. Hey, I like that. Hey, let me tell you about MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Download the MyBookie app to your phone, create an account, use promo code FARZI, and get up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus at MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Hey, want to bet on the world of baseball? Want to bet on the world of basketball? Want to bet on the world of football? Want to bet on the world of television? How about politics? Anything going on in politics? This politician is a real scumbag. Vote for this politician who in the very next commercial you see will also be revealed as a scumbag. That's the world we live in right now in television. So that's what's going on. Bet on all at MyBookie, MyBookie.ag. How about the Game Time app? Download the Game Time app to your phone, create an account, use promo code FARZI, and get $20 off your first purchase. So let's say you want to go to a Sixers game, but you don't think you're going to see their stars, so you want to get a discounted price. Game Time app, they got $20 they'll take off the top on your first purchase on the Game Time app. Sixers back home tonight, taking on that pesky Detroit Pistons team. That's what they got going on tonight. The 1-2 76ers taking on the Detroit Pistons. They come into tonight's game 0-4 on the season. Tobias Harris, shockingly, not very good at basketball. Anyway, they're coming in tonight. If you want to go see the Sixers and Pistons tonight, welcome home Tobias Harris. Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use promo code FARZI and get $20 off your first purchase. But you don't just use it for sports. You can also use it for events, concerts, comedy shows. And if you do that and you're looking to save even more money, they have tickets available an hour after the event starts. So you might miss the opening act. You might miss the middle. But you're not going to miss that headliner that you love so much, courtesy of the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code FARZI, get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Before I get into the chat check, here you go on Tobias Harris. 10 points per game so far this season. That's what he's got going on. He is shooting He's shooting 34% and 17.6% from beyond the arc. Wah, 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 wah. All right, now let's get into the chat check. See how beautiful people are doing on this fine Wednesday morning. It's Wednesday already. That is crazy. A man called David. Hello, David. Sean Gillespie, what's popping? Mike Fredell, top of the morning. Top of the morning to you. Daniel Barry, Sports Highlights. Morning, everyone. Good morning. Sean Kilrain, hello. Sean Kilrain, you knew this was coming. The NBA has fined the 76ers $100,000 for public statements around the health status of Joel Embiid. Sources tell us ESPN. Knew it was coming. I'll put it to you like this. I hoped it was coming. I hoped it was. How do you come away with nothing on the investigation except, oh, yeah, you're going to get fined? What? Wait, so you investigated, no wrongdoing except for misleading comments. Make it make sense. JB, I want the Iverson era back. Hell yeah. Shooter McGavin. Are they saying his knee hurts or no? They're saying he's ramping up. All right. For those just joining us, Nick Nurse on Joel Embiid.
Joel and Paul, in terms of their participation in practice today, were they able to do any live 5-on-5 or anything like that today?
You guys got the update? They were in parts of practice. On we go.
It sounded like
sorry, apologies, but go ahead.
Sorry, it sounded like you guys went pretty hard for a good chunk of time today during practice. What was the focus, or were we trying to hone
Just trying to establish and maintain some type of identity and toughness of who we want to be and who we are and how we want to play, which finally showed up there 3 games in. Just staying on that track.
With Joel's plan,
I'm not going to answer.
With Joel's plan, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. You have something else up here, Shooter? Shooter. You know, speaking of Shooter, I just learned this story recently, but I'll get to it in a second. He practiced foul shooting. Well, he did play one-on-one. Or not one-on-one. Joel Embiid did, and so did Paul George, 5-on-5. That was the update. So if there's, that silver lining, if you want to look at it like that, he's ramping up to the point of playing 5-on-5. They weren't doing that last week. Celtics will whoop the ass anyhow. Not if Joel Embiid's healthy. See, that's the thing. Like, the Sixers win the championship. They at least get to the NBA Finals if Joel Embiid is healthy. Zero doubt in my mind. But again, as I always say, the biggest if in all of sports is if Joel Embiid stays healthy. Because you're talking about a championship team. But he's just never been healthy. He's never been ready. So this is the Sixers. So what, like, the cataclysmic event would be Joel Embiid plays 55 games this year, if that. And then first round of the playoffs hurt. And then can't play in the second round. That would be cataclysmic. I'm not wishing it into existence. I'm just saying that is what I'm fearing the most. By the way, I heard this great story about Christopher McDonald, the actor who plays Shooter McGavin. A friend of a friend met him at the airport some years ago, and I just heard this story from this friend maybe 2 weeks ago. And he's like, "Hey, Shooter, can I get a picture?" And Christopher McDonald's like, "Hey, I am more than Shooter." He was like a real jerk. And I've talked to Christopher McDonald. I interviewed him once. He was the nicest guy in the world. So I was hearing the story. I'm like, "Oh, that's terrible." And he's like, "Yeah, I am more than just this one character. I've had a whole career." And he goes off, and my buddy's friend was like, "Oh, dude, sorry." And then he walks away. And then he hears Christopher McDonald go, "Hey, buddy." And his friend turns around and goes, "Yeah?" And he goes, "Shooter." And then he walks away. So he's like, "What the hell?" He's like, did he think he was being a jerk and then try to make up for it? Or was he playing it all? Was he playing the long game? I like to think he was playing the long game because that's a Shooter McGavin moment. He practices foul baiting in the Olympics. Give him credit. Well, in the Olympics, it didn't work so well. He wasn't getting jack in that. Mike Fredell, pathetic. I'm glad Nick Nurse is standing up for what is right. I hope we as a fan base stick by him and respect having a coach who does. I'm with you there. April. Good morning, April. There's still players that want to play every day, but they are the minority for sure. Yeah, April, I agree. April, the Yankees fan needs to be banned from parks. He could have actually hurt bets. That was one through my mind. Absolutely. Absolutely insane last night. Sean Gillespie, what's going on, man? Good morning. Absolute craziness. It should have happened. Oh, if it would have happened in Philly. Yep, it would have been you know what crazy. If this was in Philly, it would have definitely been bedlam at the bank. Farsi, yeah. Would have been a broken wrist at the bank. Jeff, what's popping? Morning, Farzi. How about those Eagles? Other than the Lions, no other NFC team should scare the Eagles. Getting to the NFC Championship game is possible for sure. Absolutely. I'll take it one more. I'll give you the progression again. They beat the Browns. I mean, before they played the Browns, I thought they were a one-and-done playoff team. They beat the Browns. The way they beat the Browns, everything happened then after, one-and-done football team. They beat the Giants. No. They didn't just beat the Giants. They didn't like scratch and claw to find a way to win against the Giants. They dominated the Giants, okay? So like, oh, okay. I'm losing it a little bit. And then they beat the Bengals on the road by 20 points. All right, maybe more than a one and done. Definitely more than a one and done. Keep it going against those Jags. James Alexander, good morning. Tonight is a win against the Pistons. Hells yeah. Sean Cumber, the Jags will also be without starting left. Yeah, Cam Robinson. Did he tear his ACL? Is he done for the year? Oh, they traded him. But who am I thinking got hurt? Oh, I saw it was all in the same newsreel. Jeez, not at all the same person, but it was in the same reel. It was Stephon Diggs trading Cam Robinson to the Vikings. Yeah. Miss Scoozy. He got traded. Stephon Diggs is done. Eagles need maybe. Oh, I should have just kept reading what you wrote, Sean. Sorry. Sorry. The Jags will be, and meanwhile, I have it up on the screen. For the people on the podcast, nothing you don't already know. I'm an idiot. Tuesday evening with Dougie. Yeah. Eagles need more play from their tight ends. Giggity? What? What's going on? Don't worry about betting app owners will get their pound of flesh. I'm sure they spurred the fine. Terry, good morning. Oh, Terry, that sucks, man. Sorry to hear that. My grandpa passed away. Sorry to hear that, Terry. Terry's writing next comment. Cooper looks great. Hey, man, I lost my grandfather 3 years ago. He was 100 years old. Had him my whole life. It sucks. Sorry. I'm legit sorry to hear that. Prayers, good vibes to you and yours. Kyle Wright. Yeah, Nick, what's happening? Oh, you met him too? He embraces the shooter role. Laugh out loud. Cool. That's cool. You named yourself out. You know, I don't know if I've mentioned this on the show before, but Christopher McDonald, the actor that played Shooter McGavin, he was on one of my favorite stupid shows called Celebrity Ghost Stories. And apparently he was haunted as a child in New York, upstate New York, I think it was. It's a fascinating story, actually. It has to do with the Underground Railroad. Basically, he saw in his hallway this little, this like younger black boy. And he said he was like 9 or 10 years old. And it was just a ghost. And he was dressed in like 1800s garb. And he's like, what the hell? And then the boy would turn and walk through the wall. And then, like some months later, he was upstairs again, and he looked down the hallway, and there was this boy again with his father, who he assumed was his father, and they both just kind of stared at him, and then they turned and walked through the wall. So years later, Christopher McDonald, I think he had a sister, they move out of the house, they grow up, the parents have the house renovated, and sure enough, in that same exact spot where the father and son would walk through the wall, the ghosts, they open up that wall, and there's a hidden room. And the house was part of the Underground Railroad, and they found a pair of like young boys' work boots from like the 1800s and a man's work boots and like this makeshift bed and a lantern in that room that they would walk through the wall to go into. How incredible is that? But anyway, shooter. Vikings got. Vikings left tackle out here. Darrishaw. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Thank you. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motor Cars. SkyMotorCars.com. Tobias Harris. There's no way he doesn't get booed tonight, right? Like, there's no way he doesn't get booed tonight. If they run any kind of video, he's going to get booed. He gets introed, he's going to get booed. The only thing I hope doesn't happen tonight, like the possession boo, if every time he touches the ball, he gets booed, like he didn't drive up that much venom, right? Is he a possession boo guy? Do you boo Tobias Harris every time he touches the ball tonight? We'll find out. I hope not. But anyway, that game tips off at 7 o'clock tonight. 76ers go for their second consecutive win. Pistons 0-4 coming in. Sixers are favored by just 3.5 points coming into tonight. That's the way that works. As for your Philadelphia Flyers, they go for 2 wins in a row. That's what they're going to be going for. That's going to be tomorrow night in South Philly, 7 o'clock against the St. Louis Blues. That's the way that one works out. The Blues are 5-5-0 on the season. The Flyers are 3-6-1. That's how that one works out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everyone. My name is Mark Farzetta. Make sure you like and subscribe on the Farzy Show YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe on the Jake Immediate YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel as well. I'll be on for your 76ers postcast right after the game. So 30 minutes breaking down the Sixers win over the Detroit Pistons. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Catch you guys tomorrow and tonight. How about that?